Oh, it's such a pleasure meeting all of you as well. Thank you for the introductions. And as I mentioned, my contact information can be found in the chat. And then there'll also be a slide at the very end of the training, and you'll be able to find my contact information there as well. So we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to give you a quick introduction to Zern. So Zern is a nonprofit, and our belief is that all kids are math kids. We stand on that. We believe that, as our slide says, all kids can love learning math. And we do recognize that there are some challenges, and that once students get behind in math, it becomes really hard for them to catch up. But that's one of the reasons that we focus on supporting students with very deeply understanding of grade level math content. We want to make sure that they get that deep understanding so that as they are progressing and moving forward, the foundation is laid and they have that to support them. So while we recognize the challenges are there, the great thing about Zern is that we want to change that narrative. We want to change the trajectory of that for kids, and we want them to be successful and be able to move forward. So that is, one of our main focuses. And you're probably asking, how are we going to do that? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. We do that with focusing on two different ideas in CERN. And one is providing kids with both time and opportunity. And time is a big issue in any classroom setting. Very structured, very strict. But with Zern, we allow students additional time and opportunity to focus on specific skills, specific content, so that they have extra reinforcement for working on those skills. And the other thing that Zern does is there are adaptive supports that are put in place so that when students get to areas where they feel that they are experiencing or working with unfinished learning, they have the ability to use the adaptive support that's in the digital learning, and it gives them exactly what they need. So instead of going back and looking at information from, let's say it's a fifth grade student, and they're being challenged with something that may be in the third grade curriculum or fourth grade curriculum, that information is placed into their grade level content area. And that's where that support comes in. So they're still on grade level, but they are receiving support in the unfinished learning areas. So those are two things. Again, great way to reinforce students, non-traditional, but our research has proven that that is the best way to support student learning. And it helps with scaffolding the unfinished learning. So um, most of you may be using Zern as a curriculum, or maybe you're using it for an after-school program, summer school program. It doesn't matter because there are two modalities that we use in Zern, and we're going to take a look at that. If you take a look at the screen again, there are two approaches or two modalities. When you look at the very first picture, that's what all of you do, right? You're educators. So you're in the classroom, you're working with students, you're using visual models, you're using manipulatives, and you're providing them with that live instruction. That's one part or one modality that Zern uses. So when you look at the other picture, you also see a student who is working independently. So while that student is working independently, the digital learning um, that they're working on, they're still receiving instruction from a teacher. It's just online instruction. And they are receiving help with visual models. They have digital manipulatives. So it's almost like the best of both worlds that kind of come together. The live instruction meets the digital learning, and there is no other place for students to go but moving in the right direction because the support system is there from both parts. So I think that's important to recognize. So we're going to move to our next slide. where we talk about digital learning. If you take a look, digital learning deals with more opportunities for grade level concept exploration, as it states in the slide. So again, more opportunity to work. Keywords here, grade level concept. So they're staying in grade level, but they again are still receiving the support. Also, it's differentiated support built into grade level learning. So if you think back to the picture we just saw, that student is receiving that individualized, differentiated learning support, and it's built into the grade level that they're working on. If you look at the picture, there's a real teacher. It's not a cartoon. There are visual models there. And again, as I mentioned, there are digital manipulatives that help students as well. Let's take a look at our next slide. We're going to move right into the training. And what I want to talk about briefly is reflecting on supporting students' unfinished learning. So you're in the classroom, you're working with students. I'm certain there are lots of things that are working well, and there are also some things that you find a little challenging when it comes to working with that population of students. So we're going to take 3 minutes, and I want you to think about those two questions, and you're just going to jot down some ideas. You can use a T-chart, you can take notes, you can write it in bullets, totally up to you. 3 minutes, I'm going to time you, and we're going to come back and we're going to share. Okay. You may begin. Okay, our time has expired, so I'm gonna allow you to share out with us today and tell us what's working for you. So please use the hand feature, or if you feel more comfortable, you can use the chat. It's up to you. So I see that Adele, you have your hand raised. Can you share with us what's working well? You can unmute yourself. Oh, differentiated instruction. Excellent. Yes. Once you've mastered that, then that becomes a wonderful tool that you can use in the classroom. I'm glad that's working well for you. Thank you for sharing. Okay, great. Now we're going to move on to what has been challenging for some of you. I see John is using the chat. John, you can share with us what becomes or what have you noticed is a challenge for you when it comes to dealing with that population? Oh, assessment validity. And exactly what do you mean by that? The measurement tool, absolutely. You want to make sure that you're using a tool that is truly measuring where that student is in terms of mastery of content. Excellent. Thank you so much. Great answers, everyone. Yeah, so we're going to continue with our training for the next part. Yes, so we'll be right back. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that.